seriously, stop whatever you're doing and go watch Ishura, I think is how you say it. Either way, it's in the title, you know what I'm talking about, because this first episode took me by surprise. This Isekai, which, I mean, at first I was questioning if it even was, because they're talking about other worlds coming to and from. I looked it up, it is confirmed to be an Isekai. This is unlike anything else I think we're going to watch this season. This was something that wasn't even on my radar, and then I started hearing a little bit of buzz about it. And honestly, out of everything I've seen this Wednesday, and Wednesdays are a pretty packed day, we have a Bones anime airing next week here, that's also a Wednesday show. This was my favorite Wednesday watch, hands down. Now, I've only seen a few shows this season, so it's not going to mean too much as it stands, but right now, this was currently my favorite first episode. You have a world where the Demon King is seemingly defeated, and the story's all about people competing to seemingly be the strongest and fighting the strongest out there, and what we end up getting is a show that every 2 minutes was giving me a different vibe of something I've seen before, and we end with having this giant golem destroys an entire city, and this dude with a sword alone cuts it down, and just is smiling as how many hundreds and thousands of people are dead and burning, as this dude's just looking for his next fight. The main girl, I feel like wants to see him dead. I'm very unsure of if she's gonna get twisted in the head and just wants power as well, but she witnessed her friend, love interest, I don't know what it is, get her arm and leg twisted off and ripped apart in front of her face. And it was one of the most savage intros I've seen in a long time. You have Attack on Titan level vibes in terms of the initial, why the hell is the entire world erupting and getting crushed? And then they cut to normal scenes and we're waiting for that big moment to happen, similar to the Colossal Titan appearing above the wall in the first episode of that. You have, aesthetically, sometimes it kind of gave me Arslan Senki vibes with the character designs. At some other points, I'm like, actually, it kind of gives me Reign of the Seven Spellblades vibes. Like, every moment, I'm like, am I watching Decadence? Am I in a Final Fantasy boss fight? I don't know, but I want more. Now, full live reaction to episode 1 is over on my Patreon. This has been a very pleasant surprise for me. I knew very little about it other than a couple of people saying it was actually one of their more anticipated. I saw a couple of creators talk about how like, oh, I'm actually quite excited for this. And I'm like, really? Like, okay. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff coming out, so it's easy to overlook. And the poster image for this one didn't really leave a lot to be desired. It was just like, oh, it's a generic action show of the season. I'm not really thinking too much of it. But I was completely mistaken. The music is fire. The production, I'm honestly impressed by it. There is so much room for messy 3D, just blended in horribly. I mean, we're fighting these robotic golems, which are very cool to look at. They don't really seem like something that feels familiar to another show. Like, on one hand, it kind of gives me Nier Automata vibes, but also like a Decadence vibe in terms of the animatronic robot side of things, but it still feels unique through and through. You have something that's like the size of, I don't know, like a CN Tower or something. The thing was giant. And there was so much 3D with that, and it was blended seamlessly. The location was on fire, so you have this like kind of red tinge glow to it. You are in a dark scene because it's nighttime. So the way they textured and stylized it blends in very seamlessly. And honestly, the movements of this thing, just seeing our boy was basically fighting like he was in Attack on Titan with maneuver gear. He was doing Levi maneuvers without maneuver gear, doing it just with his shoes and a sword. And I have no idea how he managed this, but I am so interested because he clearly is one of the people who comes from another world. This girl is very confused on where he comes from, how he can just be so casual, but she seemingly is going along with the flow. Hey, I'll take you to this city. Yes, thank you, you made me free. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. At a moment's notice, she might stab this boy in the back. At the same time, she might end up really enjoying the craziness of all this. I have no idea where they're going with it, but it is one hell of a hook. There's basically two things that made this episode so exciting. One was the action, which, if it's just an action-oriented episode, while of course you're going to have fun if you are an action junkie like me, but the thing is what's going to really keep you there in the long run, especially if you don't necessarily know where the story wants to go just yet. They have the establishing moments, but what's the big hook for me? It's the world. I am fascinated. From moment one, I was like, is this a futuristic setting? Is this an ancient setting? Is it a mix of both? Every time I saw more about the character designs, the location designs, the mechanical side of things, I just wanted to learn more about. It's almost as if they literally took technology and things from other worlds and has been implemented in here. Think of something like Eminence and Shadow, where like the ideas from Sid's original world then get incorporated into this fantasy world. It's almost like that, but just sped up or something. I don't know, but it's really fascinating. The idea that what should be a world that's full of peace and prosperity now that their big evil is gone is apparently just gonna be savage and crazy. And they tease a shit ton of characters that all look like badasses, all look like they could be the final boss or the main character in any show if they wanted to be. And I expect we're gonna fight a handful of those at some point throughout the run. And I really don't know where the characterization's gonna go. All I know is a girl who was seemingly very lovey-dovey, friendly with whoever this was to her. The fact that after seeing her get her, and it was brutal. It wasn't just a rip and a blood splatter. They twisted that arm and ripped it. You saw the tendon, and I'm like, no, man. I was shooketh from that. And it just kept getting worse before it got better. And I don't even know if we can say it got better because everything's destroyed and we're just left with nothing. What a hell of a way to kickstart a new anime series that I feel like a lot of us aren't even going to know exists. I think Hulu/Disney has the streaming for this one, so that's where it is available legally if you're into that. Otherwise, you know how it is. Yo ho ho, a pirate's life for me. But this one, I feel like potentially could go very slept on because it's maybe not on a Crunchyroll, so it's not as front page for a lot of people. But I think with the insanity of this first episode, we have a decent shot, if we enjoy it, to promote this show and get it buzzing, because I really want to see this one flourish, because this was insane. The production had no right to be as good as it was, but it was insane. Passion delivered, and honestly, right now anyway, this is my first day watching new anime for this season, and this is my current #1. I can't wait to see where it goes. Things are going to change. We're getting the ball moving. There's a lot of great stuff this season, but this is one I will not be sleeping on, and I hope no one does either. I mean, I'm honestly just like, I feel like the soundtrack too is something I'm not going to be opposed to listening to, because like the music was good, man. It had me bobbing. I'm a rock guy. I'm a rock metal guy, and just like, it had that energy. I was like, okay, it really felt like a Final Fantasy. Anyone who's played the latest Final Fantasy game, 16 I think it was, that one fight when you're literally in your form and you're going up limbs and shit and just doing the crazy maneuvers, that's what this fight felt like. It felt like a Final Fantasy fight, and I need more. I think the biggest thing I'm interested in is just how the worlds are going to continue to open up, because we have a main character who looks like he's from a samurai period, a main female character who looks like she's from like a Magical Academy anime. The general villagers, before they got stomped on, looked like they were like in Prince of Persia or something. And everything about this just feels like it's a mix and match of so many different worlds and cultures, and that's really exciting given that seemingly that's just something that's a part of their world, these other worlds and these travelers from them. I'm really excited to see where they take this and if the production can hold up, because this was a very visually impressive and exciting episode to follow. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on episode 1 down below. Do you plan on checking out more? Let me know. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more. And like I mentioned, we have a full live reaction over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, you also get a video shout out. So today we have Bryant, Wolfie Sensei, Sleepy Fishy, Gabrielle Ray, Chrisfix, Alex, and Xeon 54th Element. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.